Greetings, Starfighter. You have been recruited by the Star League to defend the frontier against Sur and the Kodan Armada. Get ready? Prepare for blast off.
Your fortress of solitude.
Greetings, program.
Glad you're alive.
Your sanctum sanctorum.
Resistance is futile.
Welcome.
This should be the first triumph. This is where the fun begins.
Proof positive that geeks have inherited the earth.
It's showtime.
It's time to get your geek on
You complete me.
with Dave Gramillion.
Ah, yes. Welcome here, San Antonio. Welcome here, Texas. Welcome here, all parts of the United States, Canada, the UK, the Philippines, Japan, our listeners overseas in Australia and in other places around the globe. I am Dave Gramillion, and welcome to Get Your Geek On. This is the premier talk radio show for Star Wars, Star Trek, DC, Marvel, video gaming, esports, really all things geek that have dominated this little world of ours. You see, geek is not what it was 20 or 30 years ago. Geek is in. Geek is very in. Geek is now the mainstream, and we're here to talk the latest and greatest that is geek right here on 930 AM The Answer Talk Radio and 930amtheanswer.com. If you are listening to us on the radio, we say thank you. If you are listening to us via the wonderment of the web of the website, we thank you for that also. If you are listening to us via our award-winning Best of the City 2017 podcast, we thank you for that also. If you're watching us on Facebook.com/GYGO Radio, hello. You can look at us right there. This is Season 2, Episode number 44. And tonight we have a guest in the house that I will be introducing here shortly. We have Dan Jurgens, the man who has been writing or drawing Superman for the past 30 years. Will be talking to us very shortly. We have some Marvel news we want to get to as well. Infinity War, just how big will it get on opening weekend? We are calling our shot for opening weekend only. We will do that tonight. And we know what the Season 5 finale of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. will be called. This news broke on Thursday. We'll talk to you about that. After the bottom half of the hour news, we have some Star Wars news because, yes, indeed, they finally released a very, 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 very good Han Solo trailer. We'll talk about that and just what it means exactly going forward. And, of course, we're wrapping up March Madness. We have decided who has won the overall championship, and we will tell you about that coming up. And if we can get enough time in there, we will also be talking about the Last Starfighter reboot. Yes, please don't drive off the road. Suddenly don't jerk the wheel too hard there. Trust me, you did not hear that wrong. It is very much a strong possibility. You can guess I am not happy about that. Tomorrow, being Sunday, don't forget, from 4 to 6, we are at Laser Legend. And for that, it's a BOGO. We're going to have contests going on. If you want to buy a game of laser tag, you get one for free. You want to buy a game of mini golf, you get mini golf for free if you mention the show's name. Goose, Minion, and I will be there as well. We have a costume contest. We have a laser tag contest. And we also have Star Wars Battle Pod high score contest as well. Laser Legend is located on the north side of San Antonio off of 1604 and Lookout Road. Not quite to 35, not quite to Royal Oaks Mall, but nice and nestled in between there.
And if you go to the event that you can find on Facebook.com/GYGO Radio, you will find that in addition to the regular team-based and the free-for-all, Laser Legend has released 2 additional ways to play laser tag.
That's true. They have done that as well. And we are also going to have a Darth Vader cosplayer from the 501st Legion out there to take pictures as well. So just come on out from 4 to 6 and have a really good time. Alrighty, so let me introduce my motley crew here. On my left, your right, as you look across the radio dial, you will not see Minion. No, Peter Gonzalez is on other temporary assignment tonight. So we have a very special guest in-house with us. We have Chris Hoffman from the comic book crew on the CW35.
Welcome. Hey, thanks so much for inviting me.
Yeah, you've already welcomed yourself now. So
Welcome.
making himself right at home there. So how you doing tonight?
We're doing pretty good. How about you there, Dave?
I'm looking forward to a fantastic show. I think we're going to have a lot of fun tonight.
I think so. And you had fun on my show there last week.
Yeah, that's right. I'm telling you, that's the fastest 30 we say this is the fastest hour on radio. That was the fastest 30 minutes of my life.
I'm telling
Woo,
you. You had to hold on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think there are seat belts on the chairs over there. It's It's crazy. I love it. If you look further to my left, your right, across the radio dial, you will see the man spinning the ones and zeros. He is our sound prognosticator, and he is Goose. Goose, how you doing?
I'm doing quite well because earlier in the week we actually pre-taped our interview with comic legend Dan Jurgens.
He's legend. Wait for it.
Derry.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and hear from Dan Jurgens. This is the man who created the character of Booster Gold, the man who has spent 30 years writing and drawing Superman, and also wrote the Death of Superman comic in 1992. Let's go ahead and we're going to speak right now to Mr. Dan Jurgens. Dan, how are you doing, sir?
Pretty good, guys. How are you tonight?
Dan, we are doing just spectacularly here. We are so glad to be able to speak to you tonight. I want to thank you first for taking time out of your what has to be an increasingly busy schedule to talk to us tonight.
Sure, happy to do it.
Alrighty, so Dan, you have been associated with Superman, which is the icon of icons for more than 30 years, whether you've been writing him or drawing him in over 225 Superman-centric stories. But I want to take you back to a little-known comic back in 1992. You know, it wasn't really, a big thing or anyway. It was just the death of Superman. But when you were first told about that, what was your very first thought that you were going to be writing the death of this character?
Well, it wasn't, and I do sort of remember that now that you've jogged my memory. It wasn't so much a case of being told I was going to do it as much as it was a case of a group of writers and artists who were working on the Superman titles at that time, sitting in a room doing what we always do, which is try and come up with interesting stories for Superman. And in that case, we thought we could say a lot about the character if we did the death of Superman.
Well, that's certainly true. And especially the way that, of course, you had to kind of construct a way to kill the person who's never been killed before. And I can only imagine what it was like to sit in that room and say, okay, guys, we're going to kill Superman. How do we do it? And
Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, that's a good point, because what we did is we went through the exercise. And first of all, the reason to do it, which was, saying a lot about the character, is it's just like when we lose anybody in real life or we see a notable figure die. That's when we talk about them and we discuss the idea of what they meant to us. And so we realized there was a lot we could say about Superman that way. The question was, who would do it? Would it be Brainiac, or would it be Lex Luthor, or some other villain? And we decided to come up with something entirely different and entirely new in, Doomsday, who ended up doing it.
Dan, I was just wondering about, was there any backlash or any shock from the powers that be at DC Comics about bringing the death of Superman, such an iconic character at the time?
No, I think as long as they saw that we were trying to tell a very legitimate story, that it was going to be this, not just a one-issue thing, that it was going to be something quite epic, where we would explore what it meant to the world without a Superman, and that they could really see it. I thought, at the time that we had something good, they thought we had something good. And more to the point, the nice thing about it was, as it became this big thing in popular culture, and we had newspaper columnists writing about it and saying, what does this mean when the world doesn't have Superman anymore? We had this weird and very lovely dovetailing of our fiction and the real world reacting to it and basically saying much the same thing we were saying. So it was really a lot of fun.
We're speaking with Dan Jurgens here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer in San Antonio and Get Your Geek On. And Dan, you created Booster Gold, another tremendous character that has a rich background in history, and the guy just got absolutely pummeled while he was off fighting Doomsday. It was bloody. He got battered in a horrific way. Can you describe what it was like seeing the character that you created from your own mind, and he's just getting trashed?
Well, there again, I wrote and drew that story, so it wasn't just a matter of seeing it as much as it was saying this would make sense. And really what we had to do is we sent the Justice League up against Superman, or up against Doomsday, rather, before Superman got there. And the whole idea was, if we were going to have it being powerful enough to kill Superman, obviously he would be able to plow through the Justice League as well. So what we really wanted to get into was the idea of this really incredibly powerful villain in terms of Doomsday, and that meant if Superman can't stand up to him, there's not much Booster Gold and the others could do either.
Very true. Now, Warner Brothers is kind of in a state of flux when it comes to the DCEU and the movies on the big screen, but if they ever came calling and they said, all right, Dan, who do you think should play this cocky time traveler on the big screen in his own standalone movie? Who would you want to cast?
Oh, gosh, I really don't know. I used to have an idea of who it might be, but now, we've probably moved past that point. And the idea really is he's fairly young. I mean, we're talking about someone who, in terms of Booster Gold, had just gotten out of college. He's really, probably about 23 years old. So I haven't really zeroed in on anyone yet. From time to time, I get different ideas, but right now I can't say that I have one.
Well, what was one of the ideas you had? I'm really curious to pick your mind on this.
If I were to go back a few years ago, one of the guys I thought would be really ideal for it, and this is kind of a left field thing, is Justin Timberlake, just because he had that sense of sparkle and he moves so well that I could see that translating well to the screen.
And he's no stranger to the big screen either. So he did that In Time movie. So that'd be tremendous. That's a great. I could see that. I can absolutely see that. Kind of shifting gears on you a little bit, Dan. Talking about the latest chapter in Batman Beyond, which was Rise of the Demon, and that featured a really conflicted Damian taking on Terry. They have their bat suits. These are new bat suits. And was there kind of an underlying message about maybe over-reliance on technology, because those two characters are fighting their suits about as much as they're fighting each other?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, certainly, I think all of us, I do certainly feel that way from time to time whenever we are sitting there looking at a computer screen that isn't doing what we want it to, whenever our cars don't do what they want them to because they're far too complex now. I think there are times when all of us say, life has gotten a little too complex, and just, I can't turn on my oven, but give me a match and I'll start a fire or something like that. And there is a bit of that, along with the idea that, to me, if you look at Damian and this idea that Bruce Wayne is his father, but Ra's al Ghul is his grandfather and Talia is his mother, I still say he's going to be someone who grows up to be a somewhat conflicted individual.
Absolutely. I mean, I can only imagine what he's going through on a daily basis, just trying to straighten all this out in his head. And then, of course, he's got to fight with Terry and with Goliath and everything else that's going on there. Now, the ending of that story, Bruce is recovering. Damian is certainly, he's recovering. Terry is in bad shape. And now Matt dons the Robin costume for the first time. What inspired you to finally give this version of Batman a Robin?
Well, part of it is because we've moved forward a couple of years in Batman Beyond's career. So not only has he gotten a bit older, but his younger brother Matt has as well. And one of the things that, if you look at comics and you look at sidekicks and you look at partnerships and everything else, what we really don't have much of is sibling heroes. So I thought it would be fun to play off this idea of, Terry and his younger brother Matt becoming this new Batman and Robin in a year 45 years, or in an age 45 years from now, because it gives us a way to take a bit of a different spin on the character. Historically, Bruce, until Damian, always went out and found someone who was kind of a stray of some kind, whereas this idea of an older brother taking on his kid brother seemed to me to be somewhat fresh, and I just thought it would fit the tapestry of the series very well.
Now, speaking of this, can you give us any insight, any hint, anything at all regarding the next chapter of this, where they're going to go from here? Because that certainly was quite the cliffhanger you left us on.
I think whenever I leave a cliffhanger like that, the idea is to keep everybody dangling and hope they come back around to read the book. So I think if you look at the way the cliffhanger was structured, there were a couple of pretty obvious directions that this might go, and that's going to be very much the emphasis of our next arc, which is just, what does this mean? Does Terry McGinnis as Batman really even want a Robin, especially if it's his kid brother? What does Bruce say about it? How does that all work out? And it is, is it a relationship that can really work? Because what we really see that's very frequent, whether it's a pair of sisters or a pair of brothers like that, they tend to bicker a lot. But there's a lot of love behind that. But how does that work in the sense of a superhero dynamic? So that's what we're going to explore.
Well, sir, now far be it from me to impose or make any suggestions upon you, but I would like to make just one minor recommendation. I'd consider it a personal favor. If you would, at no point whatsoever, make sure that the new Robin doesn't say, "I want a car, chicks dig the car." Please, just don't.
Okay.
No.
I don't normally jump on top of readers' requests, but in this one case, I can promise you.
Thank you, sir. I do.
That's not going to happen.
Now, the next 30 days are certainly going to be very big for you. You're currently writing and drawing 3 stories for Action Comics 1000, which will be released on the 18th, I believe. And
yeah, it comes out in a week, but I only wrote and drew one of the stories in it. There are a lot of really great stories in it, one of which I wrote and drew.
Okay, and your legendary run with Action Comics will conclude on the 2nd of May with The Last Will and Testament of Lex Luthor. So my question to you is, if you could go back and you could change one storyline, whether you're going to add something or remove something, and it may not even be your story, it could be anyone's in there at any point in time, which one would you want to change?
Actually, that's a very good question, and it would probably be a story that I actually did. I had done a story many years ago, prior to the death of Superman, in which there was a female reporter at the Daily Planet by the name of Cat Grant, and she had a young son who had been kidnapped at that time. And it was a story where Superman didn't succeed in saving the boy's life. And as I look back on it, I've always thought, I probably wouldn't do that same story again, just because it did represent a failure for Superman in a story that he should not have failed in all likelihood. So that's one I'd probably take back.
Now, my producer, Goose, here, he and I had a little bit of a bet going as to whether or not you would choose a certain look for Superman, and maybe that electric blue didn't quite work out.
No, because you know what's amazing about that is, to this day, I'm amazed at the amount of people who come up to me and still have really fond memories of that storyline. And this is a story in which we gave Superman a bit of a different look and certainly gave him different powers. And for a lot of people out there, they really responded well to that story. They enjoyed it. It sold very well. And even now, they tend to be those who are probably, like 28 years old, and they'll come and say, "Oh, yeah, that electric blue Superman. Oh, I love that look." And so I've had too many people say they really enjoyed it to say that we'd have to go back and take that one off the table.
Alrighty, so we want to thank Dan Jurgens for taking the time out to call us here. What a great interview. That guy is really something else.
I mean, being able to talk to somebody who, put up and set up the death of Superman. I mean, it's just unreal to be able to talk to him.
I can only imagine, again, sitting down with the writers and the artists in there. It's like, all right, guys, let's kill him.
Yeah.
Well, there's a rumor about how that actually went.
Okay.
So they were going to actually, instead of kill Superman, they were actually going to have the marriage occur at Superman 75. But Warner Brothers was in the process of starting Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman.
Okay.
So one of the writers, they were told they can't marry them.
Right.
And so somebody in that meeting, and it's argumentative on who it was, said, "All right, why don't we just kill him then?"
Let's just kill him off. There you go. All right.
Aha.
So let's switch over and do something completely different. We're going to get away from the DC news, and we're going to go straight into some Marvel news.
Yes.
This is that sequel to the smash hit No Equal. This one's for the true fans with Hulk hands and action figures.
So Infinity War, in case you haven't been living under a rock, is
that little
right
movie?
around the corner.
That little movie.
That little old movie. It is officially projected to open at over $200 million opening weekend.
So when we have our guest, I believe, isn't the CW Convo Crew doing a special
We
about
are on April 23rd, the week of Avengers Infinity War. We're doing an Avengers Infinity War special. So it'll be out on 12:30 on the CW 35.
12:30 Central Time for those listening
Central
on the time zones?
Yep.
Very cool. Now, the record for an opening weekend is currently sitting with The Force Awakens at $248 million. I mean, whoa.
No. It's going higher.
You think Infinity War is going to go higher?
I think it's going, yeah, I'm thinking above 250.
All right, well, here's the story to help back up that assertion. This is the fastest-selling superhero movie, according to Fandango, within the first 24 hours. The pre-sales beat out Black Panther's record with 18 hours to spare.
Mm-hmm.
Let me break this down for you again. The Infinity War pre-sales of Fandango outsold Black Panther in the first 6 hours of the first 24 hours they were released. It has more pre-sales than the last 7 Marvel movies combined.
I guess a few people are going to be going to see that on
yeah, just a few.
27. Just a few.
Just a few.
Yeah.
So here's the big question. All right, so I think it's safe to say we're all going to assume that it will beat the Force Awakens opening weekend record.
Oh, are we doing the call your shot?
We're calling our shot. We're marking the tape for opening weekend only. Now, next week is when we'll do our full on how much is it really going to bring home. For opening weekend only, let's call our shots, make our predictions. Let's start with our guest here. How high will it go opening weekend?
I'm thinking it's going to be north about 255.
255 is what Chris Hoffman is calling from the C-Dub.
260.
Goose is calling 260. Okay. I'm going to call 260 to 265. I think like
really, we're going to go with a
260.
range. You're not going to actually commit to anything.
Okay, fine. All right, you want me to commit? I will commit to $263 million.
All right, there you
exactly. $263,428,512.47. 42 cents, because that's the answer to life, the universe, and everything.
Wow.
All right, so the top 5 opening weekends, Black Panther is sitting at number 5 with 202 mil. The first Avengers is 207. Jurassic World, it just barely squeaks over at 208 million. The Last Jedi, 220 million opening weekend. The Force Awakens, of course, on top at 248. Now, the first 30 minutes were already shown to some press and some select fans who had to sign non-disclosure agreements the size of a truck. I'm sure.
I'm sure it took them
anything.
longer to read the non-disclosures than 30 minutes.
More than likely. And there was high praise for the pacing, for, of course, the visuals, and for Ebony Maw. That is going to be who you are going to Google before you go see this movie. Ebony Maw. There's a lot of high praise for his role in the movie. And one quote in particular, this one stood out to me. It's well worth it to watch all the Marvel movies again.
Yeah.
Now, there are some movies, like I saw Civil War without seeing Ant-Man. And I didn't feel lost. I thought it was cool. Hey, cool, Ant-Man, very cool. And then I watched Ant-Man later and got the backstory.
Yeah.
But I think that it may be worth it to go back and watch all these movies again.
Yeah, I watched Civil War, and unfortunately, I didn't watch, Avengers 2, Age of Ultron. And, of course, Vision's there, whoops, missed that one. So, it happens. But, I would love to be a part of that marathon that they're doing in select cities.
Yes.
One of my fans that's on
an
the
AMC
CW
doing
35.
it? Is the AMC
I don't believe so. It's
downtown
only,
doing it?
I know it's in Florida. They're doing it over at the downtown Disney area in Orlando. And one of my fans on the CW comic book crew is flying to Florida just for that. It's a 30-hour marathon.
Yeah, if anybody's going to do that, that's listening
If they're
to
doing
our
it here,
show,
I would love to do it. But
I want to know. I definitely want to know. And if you're going to do it somewhere in your town, in your state, I want to know, too, because I want to know what that experience is going to be like.
30 hours. I mean, remember when they put out The Force Awakens, they had all the Star Wars movies.
Yes.
That was only a 9, what was that?
I think it was like 10 hours
10
with
hours or
with
something.
dinner and a
Exactly.
bathroom break.
Exactly. And this is 30 hours.
30 hours of Marvel movies.
I have a show to produce. If not 2 shows to produce.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, we're 30 hours. Good God.
Are they going to call it the Mighty Marvel Marathon again this year?
They might as well. I mean, they might as well call it the Mighty Marvel Marathon. There we go. Okay, that's a tongue twister and a half right there. That's made for radio. So, all right, so we've called our shots. Chris, you're saying 255.
255.
Goose says 260, and I went with 263 and change.
Yeah.
So we'll see exactly how it pans out, but I think it is actually absolutely going to beat the the record for The Force Awakens. We've been waiting 10 years for this movie.
And I think that's the reason why.
And with 76 Marvel characters.
Oh. And you know what? Those are the only ones they're agreeing to right now. You know, there's probably going to be some. They're going to be stuffed in there.
Well, we think that Captain Marvel is going to be in the movie.
I think so.
At the very least, there'll be a cameo. There'll be something of Captain Marvel in there.
I think so. I mean,
even though, they've denied up and down that no, it's not going to happen. No, it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
I think it's in there.
Yeah, okay.
I'm upset. I wish they got the Silver Surfer in there, but that's been categorically denied. There will not be the Surfer.
I've said that I don't know how many times. As Silver Surfer was an integral part. In fact, they even recreate the scene where you see David Banner or Bruce Banner. In the scene falls through the sanctum.
Yeah.
In Doctor Strange, it's actually supposed to be Silver Surfer.
And we've also found out something. This news broke on Thursday that the finale for the season 5 Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show will be called The End. Just the end. The end of what? Of who? We don't know. Coming up after the bottom half of the hour news break, we've got some Han Solo trailer talk coming up, as well as our March Madness Championship Round Edition. We'll be right back here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer and 930amtheanswer.com. Alrighty, and we are back from the bottom of the hour news break here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer Talk Radio, and get your geek on. I am Dave Gramillion, and if you missed the first half of the show, you missed a most epic interview with Dan Jurgens, the man who has written or drawn Superman for the past 30 years. 225 Superman-centric stories are under his belt, including the death of Superman back in '92. Cool, man, what a great interview. We also talked about Infinity War and just how much money is it going to rake in for the House of Mouse on opening weekend. We talked about that as well. But now we're going to shift gears and we're going to talk some Star Wars news.
We're staying in the House of Mouse.
I'm looking forward to completing your training.
Just a different room.
In time, you will call me Master.
Alrighty, so Han Solo has gotten its latest trailer released. They've had trailers before this and all, but this one really gave us a good solid look at the movie. And we've gone on record on this show saying several times before, nope, not buying it, nope. Then this trailer came out, and I did a complete 180. Yes, yes, and more yes. I want this movie so bad now. I have officially bought in. I am there. I am ready to go. Opening night. Let's do this Han Solo movie. Give it to me. Chris, what are your thoughts on that?
It was all about Lando. I had to wait to see how he's going to be portrayed, and of course, I wanted to see the poker game.
Yes,
and that's what I knew what's going to happen, and I really fell in love with it. I really want to see it now, and I think it was the same way with the Avengers. Even though we were talked about it a little bit, once we got that first real trailer, it sucked everybody in.
Goose, what do you think? Is the hype real now, or are you still kind of on the fence?
Like I've said before, I always go into a Star Wars movie hyped up and always disappointed. Whoa. It never matches the hype.
Well, that's true.
And so my expectations are down here now. Like they're lower than what they were for The Last Jedi. Because why? I've seen The Last Jedi.
They're lower than the Spurs ranking in the playoffs?
See ya. Oh, yeah.
That hurt. That hurt a lot.
Oh, come on. I love my guys.
But I think Solo, like most Star Wars nowadays, is going to be more about the merchandise than it is the actual film.
So getting back to its roots then, and that because George wanted teddy bears, because it had nothing to do with the merchandising.
But Empire Strikes Back was outside of variations on the characters we've already seen in introducing Lando.
Yeah,
there was more story. There was a lot of meat on there. Same thing with the Return of the Jedi and A New Hope. There was a lot of gripping storytelling there, which we haven't really seen since 1983.
That's true. And that's kind of what I think The Force Awakens had a bit of this. The Last Jedi had almost none of this, and that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
I want a simple, fun adventure story, and I think that's what Solo's going to deliver. I think that's what everybody's looking for, is that, you know what, let's not do these overcomplicated plots.
Right.
Let's not, I get it, you want to leave your mark on Star Wars as a director, that's fine, but you know what, do it somewhere else, because if you remember the Phantom Menace trailer, and I say what you want about the movie, but that trailer is one of my most favorite trailers of all time. You cannot watch that without feeling geek bumps on your arm.
I mean, when you see him come through the mist, I mean,
Yes.
I remember because I was working in a movie theater at the time, and couldn't wait for the trailer. We actually put it on without even attaching it to a film. We just wanted to see it, and when you see that coming through, that just
And you see, you know, every journey begins with the first step. Every generation is a new legend. But then it opens up, and there's the pod race, and the music is blaringly loud, and there's all this action. It looks like a fun adventure story. Now,
And then you go see it.
And then you went to go see it, and well, yeah. But that's
Kind of
what,
like Superman Returns.
But we haven't had that yet. In fact, the second highest grossing movie of all time is Star Wars when you adjust for inflation. Yeah. That's all that it was. The story is so basic, so simple. It's not at all like The Last Jedi, which there's not a lot of fun to that. There's some fun at The Force Awakens, but it's not a simple, fun adventure story, which is what we're waiting for. And I think Solo's going to provide that, plus that cool tilting train thing, which just looks awesome.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I may be the only one that actually saw Star Wars for the first time, you know, in the theater, you know, when it came out. And I remember seeing...
No, Peter did too.
Okay. So Peter and me are probably the only ones. But I remember seeing a CBS special. It was the making of. And that's because it hadn't been to our theater yet. I would come into a town with only two theaters. So it hadn't come there yet. And I saw that, and I was just blown away by what I was seeing, you know, how they were making it. And I want to see that. I always want to feel that again. You know, being able to see Star Wars for the first time. I thought I got a little bit, you know, talking about Empire Strikes Back, you know, when he says, Luke, I'm your father. It's still the best, my favorite Star Wars movie. It's still Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think everybody walks in there hoping to get either the original or the Empire Strikes Back feeling.
And I would settle. I know it's not. Star Wars is no longer for people like us. It's for our kids.
Exactly.
It's for the next generation, which is why Broom Boy. I love the Broom Boy addition there, because everybody thinks, "Oh my God, is he the next character? Is episode 9 going to?" No, it's a metaphor for the next. It's so that kids walking out can go, "Wow, I can do that too. That is me." And so we're not going to get that feeling back. But I would settle for just something fun, something simple, something that I can hang my hat on and just go, yeah.
I mean, we had of course, these are the Star Wars stories that are coming out. We definitely didn't get the fun with Rogue One. It was definitely a downer. We knew it was going to be a downer going in. So this one, I think Han Solo is all about fun, all about, you know, flying by the seat of your pants. I think that's what this movie is going to be.
One thing I liked about Rogue One is that you knew it was going to be a standalone.
Yeah.
And so I enjoyed it for what it was, knowing that they weren't going to try to tack on a hook for the next one, because there was no next one.
But even still,
there was.
But because it was a prequel, and because you knew that the main characters weren't going to make it out. Spoiler alert.
Sorry.
That I was less critical of the character choices.
Sure.
Than I was in, say, The Last Jedi.
Oh, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
They still, with Rogue One, though, they could have turned that into this fun, like almost Ocean's 11 type of adventure. All right, I need a crew. We're going to go into this heavily fortified. I actually thought it was going to be on the Death Star. I thought they had to go to the Death Star to get the plans and get off, which I thought would have been a lot of fun.
That was in the original edit.
Oh,
before the reshoots.
Before all. Yeah, you know, they reshot 112% of the movie. 112% of the movie was reshot. It was incredible. Now, I think it's next time we broadcast, it'll be 121%.
Because remember, there was a Sergeant Generso figure.
That's right. It's the Sergeant Generso, so we actually gave one away. So I thought that would have been, you could have done so much with that. That would have been fun. We're missing the fun in Star Wars.
Well,
I hate to say it, but it's true.
It is. It is. I think, you know, the Solo, I think it's going to bring it back. And, I know Avengers Infinity War is getting all the press and all the hype right now because it's coming out first. But, you know, after everything is said and done, after that's gone, everybody's going to be cramming for this. I mean, they cannot wait to see Solo.
It needs to deliver, because so far we've had kind of, Force Awakens was a safe movie. It made $2 billion because we hadn't had a good Star Wars movie in 30 years.
Sure.
So, we've been waiting for this one. Last Jedi, okay, that was like kind Kind of like a stand-up double.
It is. I mean, I liked it. I liked it, but obviously there are things that I wish they'd go back and change. Of course.
Yeah, it wasn't. And I know they're trying to be different.
Yes.
They're trying to be edgy. But you know what? Sometimes I just want you to follow the same formula that has worked.
Well,
I mean,
that's what J.J. Abrams did in The Force Awakens, I believe.
Yeah. Oh goodness. Okay. All right.
So let me ask you this:
Yeah.
if Luke was training Rey, and he said at one point, "Rey, I am your father." How would you like that being derivative?
I thought it was already pretty funny that he took the lightsaber and threw it over his shoulder.
I loved it. That part, I thought it was funny.
Oh, I laughed out loud for that because that was hilarious.
Some people laughed. My reaction, swear to God, at the Alamo Draft House was, oh,
you can't do that.
Whoa. No, first it's bad enough you took it out of the box. It's no longer in mint condition.
True.
But now you threw it over your shoulder. The resale value.
It's like 4 billion fans cried out in terror.
Oh,
That's your father's lightsaber. What? No.
And then also true story when Holdo guides the ship and does the hyperspace through the other one, the dreadnought, and it's so quiet, I couldn't help myself. I said out loud for everyone to hear, "Insurance will not cover that."
I'm so glad I did not go see that movie with you.
Yeah. All right, so here's your summer blockbuster lineup, by the way. Avengers Infinity War, April 27th. Mm-hmm. Then a month later, Solo, a Star Wars story on May 25th. We have Deadpool 2, May 18th.
Cannot wait for that one.
A whopping week before.
Yeah.
That's...
I mean, look at...
Well, it's Fox, though, at that point.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Fox is like, I don't care.
AKA
Fox needs...
Will be Disney.
Yeah.
Well, not yet. So
Not
they
yet.
can still...
If Comcast has something to say about it, maybe not.
That's true.
We'll see.
Sure.
Incredibles 2 on June 15th.
One that I've been waiting for forever.
This one actually worries me a little bit because Pixar doesn't do sequels all that well.
They don't, but, well, I don't know. I like Toy Story 2. It
Toy Story 3 was awesome.
And then Cars
the new
2.
poster came out today, so you got a glimpse of the villain. So,
Oh,
in it.
ooh,
So
I
if you get a
haven't seen
chance,
that.
go ahead and take a look.
Gotta look at that
But they
one.
put out the poster that's coming out, and it has a glimpse of the villain.
Okay, and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, June 22nd.
I've seen Jurassic Park sequels. They're not that good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, but they're bringing back Jeff Goldblum. They're bringing him back, and remember how awesome he was in Thor Ragnarok. He was not. He wasn't that good.
I got something to say to that.
Oh, what is that?
But your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could that they didn't stop to think if they should.
Yeah, Goldblum. The key. You see the key to talking like Jeff
Sure.
Goldblum is to put the emphasis on different words. Repeat and put in the ahs and the ums and the checkmate.
Yeah, if you put him and Christopher Walken in a movie together, that would be 2 hours
God.
of 2 sentences.
Can it please be directed by Tommy Wiseau?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, hi, Mark. Mark.
No.
Mark.
If you let Peter Jackson direct it, they'll get out a whole paragraph.
Oh, yeah.
6 hours later.
We did a radio program, and we were doing a bit, and it was Forrest Gump versus talking to Carl from Sling Blade.
Oh, my God.
Ain't got no gas in it.
My mama always said. My mama always said gasoline is like a box of chocolates.
we got all types of gas down here. We got unleaded, we got leaded, we got premium, we got diesel, we got E85. Yeah, exactly. Oh, my goodness. All right, so with that being said, we're going to move away from the Star Wars news, and let's go ahead, and we are going to wrap up officially once and for all time the Geeky March Madness Championship round. We started with 64 characters, 16 Marvel, 16 DC, 16 Star Wars, 16 video game characters, and it's all come down to this. Yes, I know the actual Final Four tournament ended, a week or two ago, but, they play like 3 games in 2 days, and we're a weekly show, so give us a break.
Yeah.
So we're going to wrap this up now. The final came down to Thor versus Yoda. Yoda got here... This music's incredibly appropriate. Yoda got here by defeating Superman, the DC bracket champion in the Final Four. Thor defeated Arthas, the video game bracket champion, to get to the championship round. So we put Yoda and we put Thor together, and we have 5 categories. There's popular vote, which we did polls on our Facebook page. We want to thank the almost 1,400 people that voted. Thank you so much for that. It was 80% for Yoda, by the way. 80%.
I know,
y'all
it
did
was
not
crazy.
give y'all did not give Thor a chance at all. Yeah, there's also who has the edge in strength, intellect, and durability. Those are 3 different categories, and a random roll of the D20 because it's March Madness. That's just how it is. And we really, oh my God, this one was really hard for us to judge. All 3 of us bickered and debated. You can find where we bickered and debated on our YouTube channel. Look for Get Your Geek On with Dave Gramillion on YouTube. And
official. Get Your Geek On.
Get Your Geek On official one. And that is exclusively done on YouTube. You can see us there doing our bickering and our debating. And here's how it came down. So Yoda did win the popular vote, but Thor won the D20. So it came down to who would win 2 out of 3 categories. Now, Thor obviously gets the strength. Yoda gets the intellect. So it comes down to who wins durability, wins it all. We went back and forth on this one for a while.
And it was a split vote.
It was a split vote. It was really close, but in the end...
And our guests here served as referee.
Yes.
Moderator.
We brought Peter in via the super secret.
Is that why you had that
minion
cattle
line.
prod? Is that what that was for? Hey, stick to the topics.
Exactly.
Yeah. Minion, join us via our super secret minion line.
And our winner is... Your champion of the 2nd annual Geeky March Madness Tournament is the Marvel champion. Thor wins it.
Woohoo!
Thor over Yoda, which is funny because 80% of y'all wanted Yoda. Sorry. Thor will win the tournament and be our reigning champion. Darkseid won it all last year. Thor wins it this year. So congratulations to Thor.
And next week, 5:30 p.m. Central on Thursday, we will have our recap special on YouTube, as well as our favorite matchups, what we liked, what we didn't, and a preview of what March Madness is going to look like next year.
Now, we want to thank our sponsors who contributed to the prizes for the pool this year, and that's the Dallas Fuel Overwatch League team, Night Watch Games, Laser Legend, Legion M, SeaWorld of San Antonio, and HyperX. So I will calculate and tabulate all the final scores, and I will let the winners know, and first place winner gets to pick their prize. Second place picks what's next, and so on and so forth. Yep. And in the event of a tie at any point, then I will pull up a random number generator and just let Lady Fate decide. So that's just how that'll roll. So, Goose, I would say another successful tournament.
Very successful. And like I said, next year it's going to be completely different. So make sure to tune into our YouTube channel. And next Thursday, approximately 5:30 p.m. Central Time, for all of that. And the winners will be notified, but we will announce the winners next week after they're notified.
Absolutely. That way it gives plenty of time, people plenty of time. There we go. People plenty of time to sit down, go through their email, pick the prize they want, and then I got to go to the next person, let them pick, and so on and so forth. Alrighty. So in the time remaining here, we really need to get into this. This is something very near and dear to me, and since it's my show and I make the notes.
Not just you, sir. Not just you.
Then that's what we're talking about. And that is... the last, I can't say this. Oh, God.
The Last Starfighter proposed
reboot. Alrighty. So Gary Whitta sent out a tweet. Actually, he sent out a couple of them, but he also sent out some concept art saying he's tinkering with the idea of rebooting The Last Starfighter. Yeah.
Speaking of The Last Starfighter, they should have done with Star Trek The Next Generation like they did with The Last Starfighter. Pay Will Wheaton, give him credit, but never show him on screen.
But never show him on screen. There you go. It's the best thing they could have done. Now, the concept art, it looks like concept art. Yeah. I mean, it's nothing. Yeah. There's nothing on there that's going to get me all excited and hot and bothered because it's concept. Oh my God, it's a Gunstar. Duh.
I love Gunstars.
Now he does say, Gary Whitta says on his Twitter that he is working with the original writer of the film. So
okay,
so Nick Castle.
Point for you. Yeah. You know that's great. He also said he wants Seth Rogen in the movie. That point away from Gary Whitta.
As what, Centauri?
He didn't say what role. He didn't say what role.
I hope it's that role that's where when Alex is going through the line where they don't really say anything, they just look at him.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah,
that's fine.
That'd be cool. I'd be down with that. that'd be about it for Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
And what's really disturbing, though, I mean, I've never liked reboots to begin with. I mean, rarely have they been done well. I'm trying to think of a reboot that really knocked it out of the park.
I mean, reboots are just, lack of imagination on Hollywood's part.
Pretty much.
I
mean, what do we have? What some of the famous reboots? Ghostbusters bombed. Ben-Hur bombed.
The Incredible Hulk movie.
Every horror movie that was ever done.
No, the
in
Incredible Hulk
80s.
movie did really well.
Yeah, but
Not Hulk. No, that movie was crap.
Oh, okay.
But the Incredible Hulk with
Hulk.
Edward Norton.
Amazing Spider-Man.
Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Well, that wasn't really a reboot. Per
Yes,
se.
it was.
No, not really.
we're
Where was the origin story?
There wasn't one.
Well, yeah, there you go. I mean, just
Who needs another Spider-Man origin story?
We're
It's
getting
like,
a reboot.
who needs to see the
of
Wayne
Greatest
shot?
American Hero.
No, they actually did that in the in like '85. The Greatest American Hero.
they tried.
Yeah,
it was a
they're doing it
pilot
again.
that never took off for a
So
reason.
I'm not a fan of reboots, and
No.
here's my question: It's 34 years later.
Yes.
Why aren't we doing a sequel, which the fans have been demanding for 34 years?
A la
I mean,
Tron.
since the first one, a la Tron, a la The Force Awakens, a la everything
Right.
else. Why not a sequel? Give me a sequel.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like they didn't leave the last movie on a cliffhanger ending or anything.
If they're going to do a reboot, why not just do, why couldn't you touch like Battle Beyond the Stars? I mean, go way back to Roger Corman. I mean, do one of those, but not something as.
How about Space
iconic.
1999?
There you go.
Make it Space 2099.
Hey, there we go. It's something, go remake Sequest. Go remake, I don't know, something that needs to be remade.
That's a remake nobody asked for. Oh, Flash. Yeah, the Flash reboot.
He'll save everyone.
I guess so.
Flash.
Yep.
No,
Flash.
You got
the
Flash.
1990.
The Flash.
And then with
And they're even using some of the characters in there. So
they've
some of the
used
actors.
4.
So I just not make it a sequel. There's so much to be done with a sequel.
Right.
You have Zur, who is now going to be 30-something years older because he escaped from the last one.
Sure.
You have rebuilding the Starfighter Legion, so we can now see what that is. Alex getting homesick at some point, and saying, man, it'd be nice to go see Earth again.
I wouldn't be homesick of that trailer park, man.
Well, you're always homesick for home. I mean, it's home. Well, okay, maybe not fixing the antennas and fixing.
Well,
for
so
the
Alex and
soaps
Maggie,
all
we're
that.
going to find that story just keeps going.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, certainly they have to have had kids at some
Right.
point along
And
the
it's
way.
probably going to be his child
The-
is going to be
the
the next
son of
Starfighter.
Starfighter,
Maybe
yeah.
the next Starfighter. There you go. or
The
something like
next,
that.
oh, hey, that'd be a good title.
Yeah.
Instead,
no,
now,
I don't know because the last time they did next, the next Karate Kid just didn't pan out well.
Ooh, yeah, that was the one with $1 Million Baby. What was her name?
Hillary
Hilary
Swank.
Swank.
Yeah.
But then the one where they
Ouch.
decided to do The Karate Kid didn't do so well either.
Was it with Jaden
That's
Smith?
it. Jaden Smith. Yeah.
Yeah. But definitely a sequel compared to a reboot would be great. Now, we came down with our own cast.
Right.
We sat down and
Okay.
thought this over, and we came up with some concept art of our own, by the way. You can see our movie poster at facebook.com/GYGO radio. And if we were to go ahead and reboot this ourselves, not that we would want to, but if we were forced to, all right.
However, if somebody gave us money to give it a shot.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if Kathleen Kennedy says, all right, it's a Lucasfilm picture, here's the gun to your head, start casting, I would actually put in the role of Alex Rogan, you got to go young, obviously,
Sure.
for this reboot. And I would go Tom Holland.
That's not a bad choice.
I mean,
he's got the comic timing.
Right.
I think that you could do, and he's young enough.
He's young enough, and I think that he doesn't look. A lot of people were thinking about Josh Hutcherson from Hunger Games.
Right.
I think he's got that pretty boy look. I need someone who can be a little more rugged,
Yeah.
a little more trailer park-ish.
I mean, I think that's was the knock on it when it came out was Lance Gass was a little bit too pretty boyish, but
Yeah.
I felt he had the grit that needed to.
he had the
to
hair
fight.
too.
He
That
had the
80
hair.
that 80s hair, man.
He had the
that was
hair.
big hair back then. So Tom Holland for Alex Rogan. Maggie could be played by Cara Delevingne.
Yeah, you
Not gonna work here.
Not gonna
anymore.
work here anymore.
So, but from Valerian, she was also the Enchantress in Suicide Squad.
Sure.
I could see her in a trailer park.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
she's just trailer park queen here.
I'm just saying. Yeah, you put her in a
and
t-shirt
that's-
and blue jeans, and boom, you're good to go.
That's the quote from today's show. I could see her in a trailer park.
Well, that's a sound bite. That's a sound drop right there.
There
Get that up
mark
on the board.
tape. Mark the tape.
Mark the tape.
Mark the tape. No, but I think she would
Yeah.
do well with Tom Holland.
Yeah.
I think they'd have some good chemistry together.
Sure.
Zur, I actually wanted to go older with Zur, picking on the younger kids and all that. And you bring back a Last Starfighter vet, Mark Alameo.
Gul Dukat, Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Ooh. Edward Olmos?
No.
Well, but that's his idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I could see
Edward
that.
Olmos, maybe. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I could see it. But definitely an older figure
an older
who,
figure.
I would like that. And Centauri, played by Denzel Washington.
Too expensive. The budget would
Yeah,
just be way
huge,
too
yeah.
high.
Yeah,
But yeah, you want to talk
considering
Dreamcast? Sure.
the actor at the time,
I do, yeah.
you know, he was in The Music Man playing a character similar to Centauri.
a con man in a
Yeah.
way. And I could see Denzel. You got to find someone who's a little kooky, a little crazy, who can play a lighthearted role, and I think Denzel would be ideal.
Denzel would work really good.
I can
Would
see
work
that.
for that.
And then if we're gonna put Seth Rogen in this stupid thing, let's go ahead and get it. Put him in his Grig. Let's do that. I bet that'd be a lot of fun to see.
If we're doing Tom Holland and budget is an issue, Robert Downey Jr. is Centauri.
Ooh. Downey has a comic tie. Yeah, you could see it, but
And I could see Robert Downey Jr. doing a song and dance number way before I could see Denzel doing one.
Okay, speaking of song and dance number, what about Hugh Jackman as Centauri?
Ooh.
there you go.
Hey,
The Greatest Showman out on DVD this last week. So.
the honest trailer for Greatest Showman also out. by
Oh,
the way.
shut your face.
Just putting that out
song and
there.
dance.
Shut
There you
your
go.
face.
And Seth Rogen is Greg. So, if we're gonna reboot it, then by God, let's go all the way on this thing. But I know Hollywood's out of ideas. I get that,
They
but
do.
there's just some movies you shouldn't touch. There are just some that should absolutely not be remade.
Well, I had the pleasure of talking to Nick Casso, who directed the original, about this a long time ago, back in, I think it was 2001. And it was one of his favorite movies, that, Boy Who Could Fly, and of course the work he did on Escape from New York, but he really loved The Last Starfighter.
And
It just-
you want to picture a simple, fun adventure story like we were talking about. That's perfect. And it had every kid of that generation thinking, hey, I've got some mad computer skills. Okay, I am a gamer like you wouldn't believe. Beam me up. Let's do this.
That's it.
I'll save the galaxy.
Let's rock.
We were all thinking that at that point. And now Ready Player One is big. Last Starfighter. I could see it all tying together. Just as a sequel, please.
Yes,
my
please.
goodness. So that will wrap it up here. If you want to tweet at us, shoot us one at GYGO_radio. You can email me at davethehost@getyourgeekon.org. For Goose, from Minion, and for our special guest here, Chris Hoffman, and for myself, I want to thank our sponsors, Laser Legend and The Mailing Spot. Thank you for listening. Be excellent to each other and get your geek on every single day.